It was March 20th, 2020, and I had just gotten done interviewing tons of people. It was my last interview of the week, and I got in my car and I was driving down to pick up my son when I got an email that I opened up and it said church was canceled indefinitely. I knew this had to be serious. Today, I'm going to share with you how I decided to double down instead of pivot for 2020 and the coronavirus. Pivot! Pivot! Pivot!
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Marvin, and I've been in the photography industry for 25 plus years. And while I love being a creative, business is my passion, and elevating the industry of photography is my focus. I created the Seven Figure Photographer to share my journey to seven figures and to help others who want to do the same. What's up, guys? I'm excited to have you here today. Make sure that if you guys have a comment, you leave it below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where were you at when you realized what was going on with our world, when everything started to shut down? What did you decide to do with your photography business? I'd love to hear it. Let's get down to business. So really today is all about, I want to just share kind of my story, what happened and how I decided to really just double down instead of pivot when it came to Corona. I heard so many people talking, so many photographers that literally just jumped ship the first chance they got, that they thought that there was just going to be too much challenge. They jumped ship, they got out of their studios, they moved home, they did whatever they could to eliminate instead of focusing and doubling down and making the best of what has been, I think, a great year for most photographers. I had just finished interviewing over 30 people for a new position as a studio manager for my studio. And it was at that time, it was actually my last interview that Friday afternoon, and I was so excited when I got in my car because I had just found somebody that I thought was the perfect fit. And let me tell you, I spent a grueling amount of time with interviews and reading through resumes and just weeding people out, people that just wanted to be there because they thought we were fun to hang out with, and people that just thought they were perfect for the job, but they really didn't fit. I even went as far as dialing into personality testing and what would work best for that type of position, or what personalities worked best with my personality, because there's nothing worse than hiring somebody that just doesn't fit and then having to fire them. And honestly, I knew it was right when I left the studio, but to have everything happen the way it did, and I realized that we were going to be shut down, I didn't know what the right move was. And I wasn't sure if it was the right time to offer a job to somebody when I didn't know what was going to happen. And just a couple days after that, we got notice here in the state of Idaho that we were shutting down for 21 days. The state was shutting down for 21 days. Now, guys, I had 4 businesses. I had an escape room that was reliant on people coming in, and we had a very high overhead that we had to cover and employees that we had to pay. I had my photography business, which was really kind of at a bizarre time. I had we were really at a slow time. So it's not like we were not being able to work was going to be a huge difference, but we still had to pay our lease payment on our building, which was a huge thing. But 2 weeks into it, I was kind of really stressed, and it really didn't hit me until about 2 weeks in. And I realized that I had to make a decision. Amongst my other 2 businesses, the escape room and the photography business, I also had my CIC Pro Lab and Seven Figure Photographer. And I had to make a decision on what I was going to do. And honestly, one night it just all hit me. I had to make a decision to focus my attention on what mattered most. I went to bed one night and I couldn't sleep all night because I had started doing like Facebook Lives for most of you who are here, about a year previous. And I was doing a live every day. And I knew that the next morning I had an important live to do. I had to get on and share inspiration and hope to inspire you guys. But it all of a sudden hit me that I had to drop a bomb on everybody. And the next morning, I spent the whole night thinking about it. I hadn't ever considered anything about this, but I knew that night it all came down to making a decision to focus my attention. And so the next morning I got up, and without any warning for any of my followers or any of you, I actually even titled the video The Bomb Drop. And you can go in, it's on YouTube. You can scroll down and find out, or we'll place a link in here for you to watch it. But I literally just told everybody I'm shutting down 2 of my 4 businesses, and I'm going to focus just on my photography business. In fact, I kind of let my escape room run on autopilot, and I focused all my attention on my photography business. And the reason I did this is just because it was a month earlier. In fact, it was almost a full month earlier. I had picked up a new book on the way just before I headed to the airport to go see Sync out in Destin, Florida. I had a friend that had been bugging me for years to go to Sync, and I made the decision to go. I was excited to go, and I went out there and hung out with them, got some great education. But on the way, I grabbed a book and started reading it. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Now, I'm not going to go in and give you a description of what this book is about, but I'll tell you what I got from this book. And the biggest part of what I got from this book was to focus on my zone of genius. And when I could focus on my zone of genius, then everything else that was unimportant would be taken care of in some other way. And if I could focus on that zone of genius, then I would be able to do the best as far as performing the best, making the most money, taking care of the most important things the best, and letting the other things go. And that's why I made that decision to drop the bomb on everybody and let them know that I was going to stop taking orders for CIC ProLab, and that I was going to stop doing my live broadcasts for 7FP. And it was, honestly, it was a hard thing, but I took a really hard look at the last 5 years in business. And the one thing that I saw, business never really went down, but it got harder and harder. And with every passing year, I took on more work, more stuff, more business. In fact, I even started new businesses. And I effectively spread myself so thin that I was doing a lot of things well or okay, but I wasn't doing anything great. And over those last 5 years, I realized that every single year I spread a little bit more thin, and I was just doing okay at everything, a little bit more okay and a less great at everything. And it was really quite an eye-opener. It kind of helped me to realize that I needed to make a decision to push forward, and I needed to continue to focus on who I was going to hire and to bring somebody in that would take care of all of the day-to-day simple stuff that's probably not so simple. I'm probably going to get some daggers thrown at me here, but the day-to-day stuff that takes my focus away from the most important things about being a photographer and running a business. So I went ahead and I made the decision to hire. And honestly, the night that I left the studio for the last time on March 20th, I had already decided who I wanted to hire. I talked to my wife about it. It was actually a senior that I'd photographed a few years earlier. Everything about her was perfect. Her personality test worked out well with mine. I knew her well. She was spunky and fun. And I wanted somebody that I knew I was going to get along with well and that would have fun with me doing what I do. And 2 weeks had gone by, and I called her up and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, with everything kind of calming down here a little bit, that I wanted to offer you a job as a studio manager for Samuel Marvin Photography. And unfortunately, I was kind of devastated to find out. She says, honestly, I just got an offer from a bank yesterday that's a better offer, and I'm going to go ahead and take it. And so I kind of felt like, what do I do? But I really felt like my decision was made. I had 2 people that were my top people, but the second person wanted more money, or really honestly was more valuable as far as like just what she had to offer, but she was completely different from what I was ready for. And I called her up and I offered her the job. And honestly, the first week was great. I was seeing things happen that I wasn't even expecting. Like, great things were happening as far as social media and posting stuff and really getting engagement on certain things and helping me with TikTok and helping me with things that I was super excited about. But that's kind of where it ended. And about 2 weeks in, we went out on a family session, and I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going out to shoot. I'm not going to sit here. I can keep my distance from people and safely serve my customer without risking anybody else's life. So we decided to go out on a family session. And as we were getting ready to leave on the session on this Friday afternoon, my assistant actually said, do you want me to just meet you there? And I was like, well, why would you meet me there? Typically our clients ride with us. Why wouldn't you ride with us? And I realized that there was some discomfort. And so she got in the car with us and got in the car with me and rode down to the location. I started to notice her take her phone like this, and she would take pictures at each one of the stoplights, and she would text each of the picture to her boyfriend. Now, she had just moved here from California, so I can understand, like, maybe it was like there was more fear there. I don't know, but it really made me uncomfortable and uneasy, and it kind of threw me off my game for my whole session. But at the end of it, I realized that I had to make a change, and I was terrified. I was not ready to let somebody go or to fire somebody. But I remember finding myself feeling like I just wanted somebody in the position that I could talk to, somebody that I could have fun with, and I just wanted to have the perfect team. And I was not going to invest my money in somebody that wasn't the right fit. And so I knew that I needed to hire slow and fire fast, and I had to get rid of her and find the right person. It honestly took me back to earlier in that day. I had a great conversation with my production manager at the time, who is now my assistant or my studio manager. And I remember we just had a great conversation, and I was like, man, I need something like that for my assistant. Now, it wasn't just that. I just decided I was going to fire my new assistant. And I also needed to hire a video guy. And now I needed to find a new assistant. And it occurred to me, I had just read a book a couple months before, a book that had talked about, sometimes people are the right fit for your company, but they're not a right fit for the position they're in. Mia had come to me in a time when I wasn't really ready to hire somebody, but I was trying to do everything all on my own to save money from opening our escape room and costing ourselves some additional funds that we weren't ready to spend. And so I kind of dialed back and decided I was going to do everything my own. She heard me talk about it on a live and came to me and said, hey, do you have a job that I could do? And I was like, well, heck yeah, I could put you in this position. To be brutally honest, I was at a point in time where I was kind of growing frustrated with her lack of confidence in what she was doing. She's never heard this part before, and she's just on the other side of the camera. But I was growing frustrated with some of her lack of confidence, and her lack of confidence was really kind of selling her short in a lot of the things she was doing, and she was making some kind of petty mistakes, just simple things that were making me question whether or not she was a right fit for that position. But it occurred to me that she may be the right fit for this position. The dilemma that it put me in is that if I hired her to take on the position as my studio manager, to take a lot of the struggle off of my shoulders so that I could focus on my zone of genius, then I had another position to fill. So then I needed a new production manager and a new video guy, and it was just causing more and more challenge. But one of the biggest reasons I never offered the job to Mia was purely because she had 5 children at home, and I didn't want to take her away from home too much, which I've done really terribly. But anyway, I went to her and I said, hey, your name has come across my mind multiple times. I think you'd be good at this. I like hanging out with you. You're great to talk to. And I don't want to just not give you the opportunity just because I think you don't have enough time. I want you to make that decision. Of course, as we've talked about it more, I find out that she really didn't even want to take the job. Her husband suggested that she take the job. Now I think she loves it. But what it has done between her and Yin, who is our video guy, they've both been incredible team members that I've been able to rely on. Also Bart, who took over production. Bart is a local photographer here that does an incredible job as a photographer, but he, needed some extra supplemental income just because he had given up his past job and was trying to make a go of it just as a full-time photographer. And it just kind of worked out perfect. He's great with his hands and amazing at the detail stuff. And so it worked out well that I offered Mia the job, provided Bart would take her position. And it's been a huge help throughout the year because it has allowed me to focus just on the things that were important. So that was kind of like the decision that I made. And it was a scary, scary decision because I really didn't even know if the customers were going to come this year. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew I didn't want to pivot and change everything. I wanted to focus and give it my all and try to make sure that I could put more time and attention into the things that I did well, which were to be able to give my clients an amazing experience and sell. And, some of the things that were helpful is Mia took over on phone stuff, being able to answer the phones, respond to leads faster, to book people and to set up sales sessions. One of the biggest challenges, I guess not mistakes, but one of the biggest challenges I faced was just feeling overwhelmed on a regular basis. And instead of causing more work for myself, I would just avoid scheduling sales sessions until I really needed the money to get through. And then I would schedule a bunch of sales sessions and it would cause problems all the way through. And it just created a ripple effect throughout my business. So when all's said and done, we're here at the end of the year and we look back at what that decision entailed and what it has done for the business. Our sales became more consistent. Our leads were more common or taken care of faster and more consistently. I was able to focus, like I said, on my zone of genius. I was able to focus on providing the customer experience or making sure that customer experience was better. I spent more time with the customer doing customer like studio tours and pre-session consultations so that we had 2 additional touch points with the customer before we would even get an opportunity to shoot with them. And overall, the results that we saw from it this year is we still shot roughly the same number of seniors as we did last year. In fact, almost to the number. But we did almost $60,000 of additional income this year. And I kind of figured when I was looking back on it before I hired Mia, and when I was trying to convince myself that it was the right thing to do to hire a studio manager and to pay out all that extra money to keep somebody around, I figured, the cost benefit, I was losing $150,000 a year. And after this first year, I feel like it's allowed us the opportunity to, like I said, shoot the same number of seniors, the same number of sessions. We shot a few more families, not very many, but we did $60,000 in additional income. It significantly reduced the stress on me. And I think one of the biggest things is at the end of the season, I experienced far less burnout because I didn't have to worry about so many of the other little things that were plaguing my daily activities. I didn't come home every day feeling overwhelmed. I came home feeling like things were done. Things were taken care of. I didn't have to worry about those things. And so honestly, I'm really excited to see what's to come in the new year. you know, Mia has figured out her job and I think has a pretty good grasp on it. And I expect that next year she'll even be able to excel more at her job, just knowing the systems and the processes. Being able to train Yin was a huge aspect because we could rely on him to take care of the things he needed to do and make sure things were turned in. So again, all I had to do was focus on my zone of genius, taking care of the clients and selling and making big sales, which are the lifeblood. Well, customers are the lifeblood, but you got to make money somewhere. And so, like I said, I'm excited for the next year to see what happens. But that's really how and why I decided to double down, to spend more money on employees, and to focus more of my attention on where I could do the best and be the most efficient and allow other people to do the work so that we could double down on a scary year instead of pivot and change everything about our business so that we could kind of fall to the concept of fear. Honestly, you know, the fear has stricken a lot. And I'm not saying that there's not anything to be afraid of, because there is. But it's given us an opportunity to grow in a challenging time. And so sometimes pivoting is the right thing to do. And I've seen it with a couple of my friends and their businesses. I just don't think there's any other option but to pivot and to change what their business is. I know that the case for, some of my friends that are photographers that have been dealing with like corporate headshots, that's almost become a thing of not right now, because like very few people need headshots because they're not even going to work. They're working from home. So many things have been accelerated by the COVID pandemic. But what you do with it and how you react to it is ultimately going to affect how the outcome of your experience. So I'd love to hear from you guys about how you dealt with such a scary time, such a paralyzing experience. How did you deal with it? Tell us in the comments below. Make sure to go check out the bomb drop video that I was talking about. I'll make sure to leave a link in the bottom or in the description so you can go check it out and see that experience, like where I was at and kind of how I felt. But make sure to smash the like button and share this video with anybody that you think it might help. And thanks for hanging out with us today. I appreciate it.